Hey guys, early spring in the rice fields of Japan, so it's still been pretty cold here in central Japan early in the morning, down around freezing, so it's still really brown and dead. Farmers have been burning off and turning the fields over. They do that this time of year, turn them over, and then they'll start to flood them soon when it starts to warm up. So, as you guys are aware, Japan has some of the lowest crime rates in the world. However, Japan also, when it does have crime, has some of the weirdest crimes in the world. There's no doubt about it. What triggered this video is a police officer in Tokyo was arrested for some sort of deviant behavior at a train station. So taking sneaky photos in a train station. So he was arrested for that, and then when they searched his computer, they found 500 images of 20 naked ladies that had passed away, that had died. So as a consequence of his work, or one of the things he did in his work involved going to the morgue, and apparently he used that position at the morgue to take photos of dead naked ladies. I mean, you can't get much weirder than that, can you? And it seems to be the case that you don't get a lot of crime here, but when you do, it's weird. You know, the stuff that they do is weird. That cameras up the skirts thing that they do is really common. There seems to be dudes getting arrested for that all the time. You know, on the train, they'll try to secretly take photos up girls' skirts and things like that, and they get caught doing it, and it's a fairly common occurrence, you know, which is just weird stuff like that, which, you know, what's the point of all that? What was the other examples? I had a whole heap of them. Oh, yeah, there was another one just in the last week or so too, for some reason the city went round to some house to check on some lady for some reason, and they found out that the lady had actually been dead for 40 years, and her children, who were adults too obviously, had kept her body in her room in the house for 40 years so they could continue to collect her pension. So, you know, how weird is that? You know, keeping your dead mother in a room for 40 years so you can keep collecting her pension. And eventually the city came around to check on something to do with this lady and discovered this thing, you know. There was another one, this is a while ago, there was another one where a guy had abducted some girl and killed her, and he kept her on his balcony. Again, for some strange reason, kept her on his balcony. I think there was a bathtub on the balcony. He put her in the bathtub and covered her with dirt or something. Tried to hide her on his balcony. So it's just weird, you know. We don't see a lot, and any crime here, you know, if a normal crime happens like a robbery or something, it's big news. So, you know, if a convenience store gets robbed or something like that, it's huge news because it's an unusual event, you know, and so they make a big deal about it. But it just seems to be that when we do see, it's sort of refreshing to see a decent robbery or something like that, you know, because normal crime is so rare that, you know, every time you see any sort of crime, it seems to be weird stuff, you know, and so when you do see a normal crime like someone robbing a convenience store, it's sort of refreshing. It's like, thank goodness for that, you know. Oh yeah, the "it's me" thing. A common fraud that they do here is that they'll phone up a house, and then when an older person answers, they'll say, "Oh, it's me, I'm having all sorts of problems at the moment. You know, make up some excuse, you know, I'm having trouble with the police, or I'm having this, that, or the other, and I need some money. Can you send some money to my bank account?" And the way it works is now and again, an old person that answers will get confused. I mean, obviously a high percentage of people must say, "Who's this? Go away," boom. But now and again they get someone who's a bit more vulnerable who will be confused and think it's a family member and actually send them some money. And it's super common apparently. We see posters warning against that in the bank and the post office and and lots of places like that where it's so common that they actually advertise to make, you know, senior citizens aware of there's this common con that's run, and so look out for it. So that's how common it is that they actually have posters warning against it. So the "it's me" thing, they call it, because they just call up and go, "Hi, it's me, and I've got, you know, this is what's happening, I need money straight away." As far as big crimes, you know, they had, some of you guys would be already aware, years ago, like 30, 40 years ago, there was a religious sect of weirdos, and they actually put sarin gas into the Tokyo subway system and killed lots of people. It was a big disaster. And again, it was just, they had this weird religious sect with this weird religious leader guy that told them to do it, basically, and they just went off and did it, which, you know, that's as far as mass killings are pretty rare here, but there was that one, and again, a weird one. You know, what a weird thing to do. Some religious crazy thing put poisonous gas into the subway system. So yeah, no doubt, with these things, there's always someone watching. There's lots of people watching who live here, and people probably outside Japan too that will have heard stories over the years of all sorts of different crimes. But it just seems to be the case, you know, that one of the lowest rates of crime in the world, not the lowest. I think Iceland beats it, and there's a couple other countries that beat Japan for low crime rates. But, you know, one of the lowest rates of crime in the world, but consistently the weirdest crime. You know, the weird things that they get into, that they like, the sort of crimes that they commit, just really weird, you know, consistently when you do see them reported. Usually the mainstream media, they sort of avoid it. There's very vague in the mainstream media about things. They don't like to specifically say. One example of that is if they report on a death, usually they say that the person is in cardiac arrest, right? Means their heart stopped, right? And they seem to avoid wanting to say that the person's dead, so that what they'll say is the person's in cardiac arrest, which is a funny way to say it, isn't it? But in actual fact, they're dead, and you'll hear later that, you know, this person died. But yeah, they avoid it. So a lot of these really weird things, the mainstream media sort of avoided a bit. That policeman one was only in the last week. And that was huge news, because that's not the first time either. We've seen other weird stuff with coppers here before. Pretty sure we've seen another one in the past where there was another copper who was taking secret photos up skirts in the past. That was another one. And then there's this one. So it's quite common. But again, weird stuff, pointless. What's the point of all that? You know? And the common one that happens on the trains too, on crowded trains, is they sort of quietly touch girls, that, you know, secretly touch girls on the train and stuff like that. So that sort of gets blown up a lot, that one, but it is quite common. They do actually have, on some train lines, they do actually have ladies only train carriages, so the ladies can go and sit there safely without being touched by the weird old dudes, you know. So again, weird stuff, isn't it? Just weird stuff. So anyway, one of the lowest crime rates in the world, but also some of the weirdest crime in the world, without a doubt. Without a doubt. Anyway, that was that. I'll just give you a few moments of enjoying the rice fields. More videos coming soon.